Good evening, everyone. Welcome to On Deck here on FTSN. I'm Russ Morgan. Just ready to get into talk baseball. This offseason has been unbelievable. The amount of news going on. I mean, once Soto hit, it's just the dominoes have been falling. We're going to jump into that. Talk some Yankees baseball today, see where they go. But there is so much baseball news going on that is insane. Obviously, little brother no more. Steve Cohen says no and just whips out the checkbook and gives Juan Soto the largest contract in sports history. 7 years, 50, why did I say 7 years? I mean 15 years, 765 million. After the fifth year, he can opt out, and the Mets would add an extra 44 million a year. I saw something. This guy's making like 15, mil a month. It's the numbers insane. Dolphins thirsty, my man Rob in there, ready to checking in. He's demanding some Red Sox stock. Don't worry, Rob, we got you. We'll talk some Red Sox, even though we did talk a lot of Red Sox last week, but they did make a little move today. But we all know the main move is Juan Soto spurns the Yankees. I guess he doesn't want to get on this train and be a legend like Derek Jeter. But, I got my Jeter hat right here with me. So, Juan didn't like that. That's fine. When it started getting closer, I knew the deal was coming. I didn't really want Juan Soto, but once the deal started getting a little closer, I started having to change my tune just because I don't want him. I don't want to pay him that much. I don't think he's worth all that he is. He's getting the amount of stuff that I see on Twitter now about Juan Soto is insane. Like I've heard that he would have gave the Yankees. Some guy put out no credible. I don't know if credible at all. Probably not credible because a lot of people put out a lot of stuff on Twitter or just like have no sources whatsoever. But some guy put out said Juan Soto would have gave the Yankees $50 million, pay decrease, but a staffer forgot to stock Juan Soto's favorite Gatorade flavor. So that's that. I mean, I have no credibility in that sort. No believing that's real. I did hear that his parents had some issues with Yankees security guards in September that might have pushed him that way. I mean, deal could reach 800 million. Where does this leave the Yankees? Where does this leave the Mets with what else they can add? Obviously, they added Frankie Montas. They added Clay Holmes and they're saying Clay Holmes, which is going to be a starter. Have fun with that, Mets fans. That guy will drive you nuts. When I put him in the same conversation as Kyle Farnsworth, and that guy drove me crazy when he was on the Yankees. So have fun with that. That'll be interesting if they make him a starter. But I mean, you got, was it Kota Saguna? I think it is. He's their main guy. I still think they need an extra piece, but I mean, it's with the Mets. I mean, you go from the Yankees hitting in front of one of the best power hitters in the game, probably the best power hitter in the game, a guy who's the fastest player in MLB history to hit 300 home runs, and Aaron Judge. You're hitting in front of him, and now who are you going to hit in front of? What, Mark Vientos? But I want to know where it's going. Obviously, we've seen, a couple of years ago with Verlander and Scherzer, the limits to Cohen's checkbook are no bounds. He does not care. He wants a World Series ring. It's been 28 years since 1986. I know that's a sore spot for you, Rob, but you bring up 2004 all the time against me. So 1986. So it's been a long time for the Mets. And he wants to bring a World Series to the Queens. But where does this line up with, they still need an extra starting pitcher. You lose Luis Severino. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. Sean Manaea, who you lose to, which they're saying he could get a big 3-year contract. You lose him. Where's this going to leave that rotation? Which was, I wouldn't say the strongest, but was, the Mets, that rotation was looking solid by the end of the year with Severino, with Quintana, with Manaea, who became the ace of that staff. You're going to get Seguna back. But I mean, you add Montas as a solid piece. But where is this going to go? I don't know. Their Fried's gone. They're out on Burns, and we'll talk about the Crochet deal in a little bit. So he's off the market. Where are they going to go? Because they definitely need to add pitching, and they definitely, if they do not re-sign Pete Alonso, who's Mets homegrown guy, which I mean they say they're still interested in, but you could see him getting like a $300+ million contract for a 30-year-old. Where are they going to go at third base? Are they going to shift Vientos over to first base, and that means third base is over? Are they going to look at Bregman? Your math wasn't my strong suit, but I'm predicting he gets 300. I've heard some interest in Alonso. I mean Cohen. At one point I thought that would be Soto, and how much more can this guy spend? But it's just pennies in the bucket for him. So I mean, I could see him going back. I see the Yankees checked in on him. I don't know if that's the best solution for him. Another right-handed power bat, weak defensive, not good defensively, pretty slow. So I mean, are they going to go Vientos at first? And then what are you going to do at third? Are you going to go out and try to get a Bregman? Are you going to move Brett Beatty, who was a top prospect for a long time, who hasn't really panned out at third? I mean, you got Jeff McNeil, you got Luis Angel Acuna, who should get time a second, but where are they going to go? I want to know where the Mets, anybody got an idea, want to throw a comment out where the Mets looking, because I think they're on the lower level. They're not going tier one. They're not going Burns, Fried off the market, obviously. They're out on Burns. I could see, them trying to re-sign Manaea, but Manaea, I've heard a lot of interest because he had an unbelievable playoff performance. And I mean, would you go Walker Buehler? Would you go Jack Flaherty? I think those would be two guys who could fit in nicely there. Buehler's had some interest. The Yankees had some interest. I think it's waning a little bit just because of that free deal. But I mean, it fits in, where Soto's there in right field. I mean, I think it's a lot of money for a guy who's, in my opinion, a designated hitter. I think he's a DH. What do you do with Starlin Marte? He's on the older side. What do you do with him? He's going to be playing in right field. I think right field and Citi Field, I want to say Shea, but it hasn't been Shea for a long time, is a little harder to navigate, a little big, a little more room to grow. I know a little more room to work with. So I think that's going to be tough for him. I mean, he'll slide in there with Nimmo, with Tyrone Taylor, and Soto will be at right. I mean, you still got Lindor there, so it'll be a solid lineup. Alvarez, young guy behind the plate. I want to know what they do at third base, because if they do move Vientos to third, that spot's open. Beatty was supposed to be that guy at the beginning of the year, hasn't really taken over that position, and that's why Vientos came in and had a hell of a year and kind of inserted himself in that spot. But it sounds like if they don't get Alonso, they'll move him over. Maybe you move McNeil to third, because they say they still love McNeil. The guy's got some good flexibility and is a hell of a hitter at the plate. So, I mean, I don't know, but out on Burns, I could see them. I could see a Buehler. I could see him still trying to kick the tires on Manaea. I'd go Flaherty or Buehler. If you're not going to Manaea, I love Walker Buehler. I know he drove me nuts, but you might be able to get him on a shorter deal. That they would like maybe a little higher performance-based deal. But I mean, I don't know if you guys saw. So I was seeing some yesterday, the other day, that Juan Soto is making, his contract is $765, where the top 5 receivers in the NFL are $655. So this guy is just blind, and that's 5 players to 1. It's insane. But we had some movement. So the Mets, the big splash, the little brother. They wanted to make a statement. They got that statement. Read that he already passed his physical, so he's going to be in Queens. We'll see how it plays out for them. where do they go? Where do they go? That's where I want to know. Anybody got any? I think anybody got any options? Any guys you think the Mets are looking at? I would say Flaherty. I would say Burns. Maybe they go a starter type of thing. But I think that rotation's got a little question. The A's trying to make a couple splashes. Obviously, they make the splash signing Luis Severino, a 3-year, $67 million, largest contract in A's history. They were in on Fried before he signed with the Yankees, which we'll talk about later. I'm going to get into all things Yankees and where the Yankees are going to go from here. Obviously, we've already seen a little movement. They were in on him. Luis Severino, that nice 3-year, $67 million. We'll see how he pitches in Sacramento because that's a hitter-friendly park. But a largest contract for the A's, and they were in a talk Buehler during the year too. So that'll be interesting. Shane Bieber resigns with the Guardians for 1 for $14. I think that's a nice performance-based deal. Guy coming back from injury. Guardians trade Jimenez, the second base, Gold Glove second baseman of the Blue Jays. That's a solid deal. I think that opens up the spot for the first overall pick, Travis Bazzana from Oregon State. So that's pretty exciting. Buster Posey starts with a splash. New president of baseball operations. Finally, they get their guy. They signed Willie Adames, 7 years, $182 million. They finally get their guy, and they're searching. They're searching for him ever since trying to sign Judge away from the Yankees. So they've been searching to make that big splash. They're said they're supposed to be on Burns. In on Burns as well, who was a Northern California guy from Bakersfield, which is in Central Valley, California, but went to school at St. Mary's in Moraga, California. So they're said to be in on him, and that's could be some interest. And I think that would a big sign for the Giants. They could get him because you do have to play the Padres, which have a solid lineup. Diamondbacks did have a young year, but do have some solid young guys, and then you got the Dodgers with their lineup, which is insane. So that would be another big sign, and Posey's doing his work. Orioles signed Gary Sanchez to 1 year, $8.5 million. Tyler O'Neill signed away from AL East rival, the Red Sox, 3 years, $49.5 million with an opt-out after the first year. So is that the ending of Santander? Is he going somewhere else? Dodgers re-signed Blake Trinan, who was a massive part of that bullpen during the whole playoff run and the World Series. That was a hell of a re-sign. 2 years, $22 million. They re-signed Conforto. They signed Conforto Michael Conforto away from the Giants. 1 year, $17 million. What's going to happen with Teoscar Hernandez? Is this just a depth piece, or is this them trying to sign someone cheap or a reclamation project and let Teoscar Hernandez test that market? Which he's got a lot of options. Rangers, they re-signed Nathan Eovaldi. Rob, don't worry, I'm getting to the Red Sox next, so don't worry. Re-signed Nathan Eovaldi. Sorry, Bobby. Marlins trade first baseman, third baseman Jake Berger for 3 prospects, and those 3 prospects they got Max Acosta. I don't know how to say his first name. Vargas, infielder Max Acosta, infielder Edstry Vargas, and Byron Mendoza from the Red Sox for Jacob Berger. Acosta 22, Vargas 19, and Mendoza 20. So this seems like a Marlins move, no matter what. Just huge money. That's got a Marlins move written all over it. Now, Rob, we'll get into your stuff. Red Sox, they pivot after they lose out. Obviously, they made a competitive offer on Soto. The reports are there was, we'll go out with reports. Who knows what their offer was? The reports are was 15 for $700, which was competitive. Obviously, it wasn't close to what the Mets were willing to offer or the Yankees were willing to offer, which the Yankees offered 16 for $760. The Mets 15 for $765 could get to $800. A kicker for that is he got a private suite for his family, which the Yankees were willing not to give, but they were being competitive. So they pivot and they make a trade today, which, a big trade. This baseball news is nuts. A big trade. They get Garrett Crochet from the White Sox, a deal centered around 4 prospects: catcher Kyle Teal, outfielder Braden Montgomery, infielder Chase Mydroth, and Wilkman Gonzalez. Teal, MLB ready guy, solid catcher. So that's a big hit, and I think that the White Sox are going to like him. Gonzalez, Montgomery, a little longer timeline. Obviously, when Texas A&M jumped off at A&M. Mydroth, the guy who's blocked in the infield from a lot of guys, and they have the Red Sox farm system is stacked with good players. I know Rob, we were talking a little earlier about the deal. He was very happy Roman Anthony wasn't in on this, so that's a good sign. You didn't have to give up one of the top prospects in baseball to get Crochet. This guy, he's going to fit in there nice with Tanner Hall. Bryson Bello is going to fit in there nice. That's a solid young 1-2-3. He was 6-15, ERA 3.58, 107 WHIP, 209 Ks, but he joins that rotation. I want to know what you guys think. Does this move the needle a little much? They're 81 and 81. Excuse me. Does this move the needle? Does this mean they shift away from Pivetta, who turned down that qualifying offer? What's his options now? Are they going to shift away? Rob, I know you're tied into all the good Red Sox stuff. We got a lot of rumors going around. I know you might be a little angry with this rumor. I'm going to bring up the rumor is they're looking at Luis Castillo from the Mariners, which would be a solid pitching prospect, but it would be centered around Tristan Casas, which definitely need more. Obviously, they're out on Burns, is what I'm hearing. Obviously, signed to Aroldis Chapman beginning of the year, so they're definitely, it moves the needle a little bit. But what I've seen, I don't think Tyler, I've spoke to Rob a little earlier. Dolphins Thirsty does a lot of good podcasts on here. I heard that too. Was on the show last week. We had a hell of a show talking Red Sox baseball, just talking baseball in general. A lot of good Red Sox stuff. So, Rob, thanks for coming on last week. I had a great time. Would this, and I've heard that too, they've turned down Casas, but if they do throw Tristan Casas in there, where are they going to go? Are you going to maybe move Rafael Devers over to first, and that would shift your third baseman viewing? Maybe you go after Alex Bregman, which I love Alex Bregman, and I know a lot of people on here last week talked about the difference. They'd rather have Adames. Low strikeout rate, great defensive player. That'd be a great sign for them if that's the case. But like Dolphins Thirsty said, Rob, you said they've shot that down. So, I think he's got a lot of money. I think he's got 3 years, $68 million left on his contract. I kind of joked with Rob early, small Red Sox with a little small market mentality, going pinching pennies here, And you see a lot of times with these MLB clubs, and we're kind of seeing it now with the Red Sox. We're seeing it with Baltimore. Is these guys fall in love with the prospects so much. They do so much work, so much scouting on them. They fall in love with them so much that they don't want to get rid of them. And I see it with the Yankees. I can't remember they had an outfielder who now just signed with Korea. They loved, and he was a top 5 prospect, and they didn't trade him. He never panned out. They had Miguel Andujar, who had an unbelievable rookie year, second. Was second in the rookie of the year. His voting his first year, and didn't really work out. And he had to switch positions. Went to the A's, had a good year in the position switch. But you could have got him if you threw him in with Garrett Cole in 2019. Instead, he went to the Astros. Oswald Peraza is another guy who's a high shortstop guy, but he's got nowhere to play. And I think they love some of these teams fall in love with their prospects so much that they don't want them to trade them for proven commodities, and we're kind of seeing that with the Red Sox. They want to see Anthony pan out. They want to see Marcelo Marr and Christian Campbell. Campbell a little farther timeline is what they're projecting with Christian Campbell is 2026, but Mayer, 2025 timeline. Roman Anthony 2025 timeline. So I think these guys, fall in love with their prospects so much that they don't want to get rid of them, and we're seeing that with the Baltimore Orioles too. And they haven't made, they've made solid moves, but some smaller moves, but haven't made a big splash that we thought they would make when they got the new ownership and then went out and got Burns. We thought they were getting ready to spend money. So in my opinion, these guys they fall in love with the prospects and what it'll pan out and don't want to do. I think it's probably a good thing. At all costs, you try not to trade Roman Anthony, but if a big deal comes out, you go get him. Maybe Vladimir Guerrero, who's a free agent next year, will come available. You have to get him. He's a generational talent too. So, I mean, I just think they fall in love with the prospects. But we'll jump into the Yankees. I don't know about everybody else. I'm loving this baseball offseason. I think it's been pretty slow the last couple times, but things are moving really quick since this Soto deal. But where are the Yankees going to pivot to? And we already saw a little pivot. They lose out on Soto. Baseball's moving quick. But I feel as much as generational offensive player talent is, if you're a Yankees fan, it's not the end of the world. It might be a good thing because that contract's going to hamstring you. And we saw what happened in the World Series, and the Dodgers knew it. What's the first thing they said what's their scouts and coaches said about the Yankees? Talent over fundamentals. And what was the thing? Fundamentals. Game one, what does Soto do? Takes a bad read. Teoscar Hernandez gets a man on second. They score. What does he do game one? The Red Sox today. Okay, we got it. That's a good. He's another guy, but he was definitely. They have a lot of catching prospects they like. So that Navarro is a good pickup. So I mean, and you saw too. What do you do? The Shohei Ohtani triple. He instead of he couldn't get the ball. Instead of making the nice read and getting it clean off the ball off the wall, he kind of tries to make that play, locks himself up, makes a bad throw. Torres doesn't do his job and get in front of it. Man on third. So I mean, it's not the end of the world. It's not the big name. It's probably not a bad thing. This guy's going to be a DH, and there's no DH spot for him on the Yankees because as we all saw. Oh, so it's Red Sox themselves. Jeff Passan's got to throw it out there, but I mean that'd be a good deal. But as we all saw, and was it game 4 or 5? Giancarlo Stanton really can't do much anymore. He can't even run. He looked like he was on a leisurely walk, running around third base, and he got hosed. But I mean, it's not the end of the world. Obviously, it's kind of a little shock for Yankees fans. We lose this big time player. He wants to leave New York to go to the Mets of all places. It's not something that happens a lot, but it's not the end of the world. I think it might be a good thing because I don't think, in my opinion, if you are giving Soto $760 million, you're neglecting other positions. Yankees got a lot of spots they need to identify. Starting pitching, an outfield spot, a first baseman. We lost Rizzo. A second baseman or third baseman, whichever way Jazz Chisholm goes. I think there's still a lot of spots you need to identify and a bullpen. So I don't think it's the end of the world, but we did get some more news on that front yesterday on that with the Yankees. I'm trying to get some. If we got any more news, okay? I saw that one got put out by the Yankees too. I saw another name I've heard. There's two names actually I've heard the Red Sox are in, and we got him flashing as Dylan Cease is the Red Sox are looking at, and I've heard no insider. I've heard Fernando Tatis's name thrown around as well. So the Red Sox maybe. But and another big name. But we see the Yankees do a little pivot move and they identify starting pitching and they sign former Atlanta Braves Max Fried to the largest contract for a left-handed pitcher in MLB history. 8 years, $218 million, no opt-outs. So, I mean, I'm stoked. I love that deal. This guy's a ground ball pitcher. He gets it done. He's a gamer. We saw him in that World Series against the Astros, got stepped on first base. They thought he was done, came back in, 1-2-3, gets out of the inning. So I'm stoked. I love Fried. I love his stuff. Good curveball, good slider, changeup. I love Fried. I love that signing. I know it's high, but that's the market value you go with to get a starting pitcher of his caliber. You slot him in there right behind Garrett Cole. You move Rondon down to the third. It's nice. Now we got a little starting pitching depth where it's gonna be Cole, Rendon, Schmidt, Stroman, Cortez, Heel, all in there. I want to know who's going first, Cortez or Stroman. I think Stroman's gone. We saw that in the postseason where he was not getting a lot of time. Didn't get any time in the postseason. So I think he's gone. I think he might be in a trade, maybe a Cody Bellinger, throw him in for a salary match type of thing, get him off the contract. That would help out. But the 1-2 of Cole and Fried, both Southern California guys, both Orange Lutheran and Harvard Westlake High School here in Southern California, is a devastating 1-2. So get ready for that 1-2 because Fried's a gamer. He's going to get it done, obviously, playoff tested, got a World Series tested with the Braves, so I'm stoked about that. Another name to watch who's been hot, it's been a hot name, which would be I guess you say it's a consolation prize to Soto, but I don't know how much this guy would be a consolation prize if you get this guy, and that's Astros right fielder Kyle Tucker, young. Very young, going to be 28 next year, going to hit the open market. So we'll see if the Yankees want to do that. This guy's a 3-time All-Star. He's a Gold Glove winner in right field. We'll probably have to play left field if he would come to the Yankees because I know they're trying to move Judge back to left field. Back to right field, excuse me. So, I want to, I'd love that deal. I don't know if you're going to go get him, if they want to go with that again. And I know what the Astros want, and that's Luis Gil. Do you trade Luis Gil after he's 26? He's under club control for the next 4 years, I want to say. Do you trade him? Whereas, the Red Sox get Garrett Crochet, who's only under club control for the next 2 years. You want to trade Gil, who's under club control, 26, just off your Rookie of the Year. But this is a free agent who would command a good amount of money, nothing in the Juan Soto, significantly less money than Juan Soto, who's a guy who's a Gold Glove outfielder. And that's what the Yankees need bad, really, really bad, is defense. Because that defense lost them Game 5. That defense lost them Game 1. If you win Game 1, you go back to Game 3 in Yankee Stadium, 1-1. It's a whole different ball game. And if you saw that what the Red Sox, what the Dodgers did, Tommy Edman, the shortstop, at least gave him 3 or 4 runs, if not more, with the way he played. So defense is key, and I think that's the way the Yankees are going to go. Obviously, you're going to lose some offense with Juan Soto leaving, but you got to clean up the defense, and Kyle Tucker would be a great pick, a great guy to trade who could, would have to move. I like Luis Gil. I don't want him to deal him. If they could get a deal surrounded against top left-handed pitching, a prospect, Brock Selvage, Everson Perea, MLB ready guy. If you have to trade Jones, throw him in because I think Jones is starting to a lot of swing and miss in his bat. So I think he's in, and with the Judge being there for such a long time, Jason Dominguez, who's penciled in this year, probably a center field. If they move Judge, they're going to get someone. I think he's starting to lose a spot, so maybe you throw him in instead of Heel. I don't want Heel gone. Maybe you put in a Will Warren, who's an MLB ready guy who did a phenomenal job with spot starts. Perea is coming off. He's coming off an injury, but has MLB, service time. Maybe you throw in Stroman, who's still a serviceable starting pitcher, who's definitely seemed like he fell off the map there and fell out of the coach's favor late in the year. So that could be a good salary fillers to throw him there. But I would love Kyle Tucker, but I don't know. I'm hearing reports Yankees, Cubs. They want Heel. I don't know. I think it's pitching. In my opinion, if you're going to trade Heel, you got to have a contract. So, in my opinion, if they're going to trade Heel, which is what the Astros want, you're going to have a contract ready for Kyle Tucker, because you're not going to trade a guy coming off the Rookie of the Year for a guy who's a 1-year rental like they did last year with Soto, which was, you had to do because they made it the World Series, but you give up Michael King in that deal, who was, in the running for the Cy Young. So you can't do that. So there's going to have to be a contract for that. In the outfield, I think the outfield's a definite area of need. If they don't go for Tucker, you got a lot of good names on there. You got, the first one, Anthony Santander. Yankees already checked on him from Baltimore. He's 28, so still young. Batted 280, 235, 44 home runs, 25 doubles, 102 RBIs, 814 OPS. Switch hitting guys averaged 28 home runs in the past 3 seasons, but there's a lot of interest in him. Obviously, the Red Sox have checked in on him. The Blue Jays have checked in on him. A lot of teams have checked in on these outfield guys that have missed out on Juan Soto. So I think there's a lot of interest. I think at one point there was a lot of interest in Santander, and then the Tucker thing came up. So that kind of has changed the Yankees' point of view. Cashman said they're ready for they're going to do anything. Anyone's over. Well, I don't like this. Some guy, hypothetical trade, Heel, Jones, Warren, and Brado Maya for Kyle Tucker. No way. And then I saw another guy, Clark Schmidt, Ben. I actually like that deal. So this guy, Bronx Pinstripe, put out something on Twitter. Is his mock trade for Tucker, Kyle Tucker, Clark Schmidt, Ben Rice, Clayton Beater. I'd take that in a heartbeat. If they can keep Heel away from that, even though I really love Clark Schmidt and what he's done, I think if you can keep Heel away, that'd be great. The amount of people are throwing out trade proposals, but what was that, Bronx something? That was some. So I think Santander I think it's slowing down on Santander, and the next name is Teoscar Hernandez. Obviously, Teoscar was a massive, massive, massive part of the Dodgers all year, and a massive part. Sorry, I'm getting a massive part. I've got college football news going on. My buddies from my college football touchdown in paradise. I want to remember everybody, tune in on Friday for the check down where Bill Belichick just signed with UNC. Check down Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. We're going to be all over that. Remember to tune in. We'll be all over that. Myself, Bobby Finstock, Dave Stanger, we're going to be talking that Bill Belichick all definitely talking a lot about that. So tune in on Friday for that. The Check Down, great show. Talking all football, guys, not just Dolphins, all football. Just like we do here, we talk all baseball. We're talking all football in the check down. But the next name, Teoscar Hernandez. A little older, 32, massive part of that World Series run, massive part of that play of the whole regular season. So he was a killer. And like we even said early in the show when my former co-host Rob Mosley was on, might have been the steal of the offseason. Because this guy, in the playoffs, he was 250, 3 home runs, 12 RBIs, but the position flexibility and the defensive run saves, and he saved runs from that Yankees is big. So, I mean, he was massive all year. Regular season was massive too. What he bet 272, 339 on base percentage, 33 home runs, 99 RBIs. But I think he's going to command a nice little offer. I could see 3-4 years, 80 million, maybe an opt out after the second year to renegotiate. But Dodgers still interested in him. Red Sox maybe have checked in on him. Yankees have checked in on him. Blue Jays seem to be on everything, and they were in on Ohtani last year. They're in on Soto this year, so they've checked in a lot. So there's a lot of competition. I'd love to ask Hernandez. But it also comes back. He turned down his qualifying offer. So it's also going to come back to, do teams what are they prioritizing? A lot of these teams will stray away from guys who turn down qualifying offers because they have to get rid of a draft pick, which is what they're saying with the Yankees, because they're going to have to give up one for Max Fried already. So they're saying they're trying to stray away from that. So we shall see. I think Teoscar Hernandez and Santander could be the next two guys that go. And hopefully not to the Red Sox. I don't like that. But they need to make a splash too. There's another outfielder. Cody Bellinger's been another hot name. Obviously, his dad played for the Yankees. So there's always been that. He's been linked to the Yankees for a couple years now. But he's got position flexibility. Obviously, play outfield, play center field. He could play first base, played first base with the Dodgers, but the Cubs are looking to open a spot up for Pete Crow Armstrong. Also, side note, Harvard Westlake High School, just like Max Fried, just like Luis Giolito, just like Jack Flaherty. So that place is just turning out prospects. And they got another one, Drew Bowser, is another guy in there. So that place just turns it out. But this guy, he's got a lot of money left. What he's got, 30 million, I think it was 30 million remaining with the player option next year, which he'll probably opt out of. But yeah, I know. And they're going to have to take something nasty back too. They want. So I mean, but it's another thing. I would love to see him. I like Bellinger. Is obviously, you can throw him first base, you can throw him in center field. That left-handed swing would fit perfectly in Yankee Stadium, and I think there's a lot of pop. But like you just said, they want him to jump and take it all back. So I see that maybe you throw in a Will Warren, a beater, you're gonna have to throw in either Stroman or Cortez. Stroman's got a lot of money left on his, so I could see that. I'd love that. Another name to watch is Jerkson Profar from San Diego. Down postseason, only played 6 games, but had 200 in the postseason. But defense was massive. Obviously, we all saw that disgusting performance of the Dodgers fans when he kind of chirped and they started throwing stuff at him at the stands. But this guy's an all-star. Bet 280 in the regular season, 85 RBIs, 300 on-base percentage. That'd be a great fit. He could play. I mean, he was an infielder with the Rangers, so he could play. I mean, probably throw him in the infield if he had to. But I mean, this guy can play left field, which is a position of need. And with in my opinion, I think Judge will be moving to back to his natural position, which is better suited for his natural position of right field, which is better suited for a big guy like him, and he's a way better defender than Juan Soto. So don't get upset Juan Soto's gone. Don't burn his jersey, please. I mean, this guy knows owes nothing to the Yankees. He took the deal. Don't burn his jersey. He went. Good for him. He got his money. That's what he wanted. We all knew that Soto was going to go to the place that offered him the most money. This guy turned down $415 million from the Nationals when he was 19, when he was in 20 after that World Series. So you knew he was going to go. So don't burn his jersey. Good job for you. Congratulations, New York Mets. They got their job. They got their guy. I mean, good for you, Juan Soto. Now we pivot and we move on. And I think it's going to be better for the Yankees because now you're showing Hal's willing to spend. Let's spread it around a little bit to areas of need. So, I mean, Profar is another name. Yankees checked in on him. I love him. There's a lot of outfielders I really love. Kyle Tucker being on the top. I take Teoscar Hernandez. Santander's a little farther down because his defense isn't as good. And I really want to identify defense this year for the Yankees. That's my big thing. I think defense wins defense and pitching. That's what they needed. They didn't have the starting pitching to get it done. They identified that, and they went out and got Fried. And the defense needs to be cleaned up because the difference between the Yankees and Dodgers is that it's a very close World Series. Dodgers only outscored them 25-24. And that was probably a lot in Game 3, which is a blowout because as we remember, Game 1, very close. Game 2, very close. So it wasn't really like a massive thing, but the defense was what? The little fundamentals, covering first base, Garrett Cole. Aaron Judge probably never going to drop that ball in his career ever again. I think, that throw to Chisholm at third he couldn't get was just Volpe making the play and realizing Tommy Edmonds right there, and he had to get rid of it quick, couldn't make a good throw and that kind of thing. But it was the little fundamentals. So I'm ready. Let's identify defense. We started identifying the pitchers. They just re-signed Jonathan Elizaga, who's supposed to be back in April. So that's another solid guy who would have been a huge piece to that bullpen in that postseason who got hurt. But that is another solid guy who's supposed to be coming back. And I know Rob's probably pissed because they were in on him too. Dolphins Thirsty Rob, thanks for tuning in. Always appreciate all your comments. Thanks for tuning in tonight. Please remember, like, comment, subscribe. Any comment, love all comments here. Keeps me going. Love just talking baseball. It doesn't matter if it's the Yankees or not. Throw out whatever you want. I'll get at it. This is a baseball show, as you saw. Week 1 of the offseason, we did the Marlins. You have a great night too, buddy. You have a great night too. Thanks for tuning in. Always appreciate your love you give us. First week we did the Marlins, got a little Marlins love. Then we went to the Mets, a little Mets love. Last week we did the Red Sox, had to talk a little Juan Soto this week we're doing my team, the Yankees, which I love. But we got to identify some defense. We got to clean that up. Profar would be one of those names. I don't think you're going to have to spend as much money on a Profar as you would Hernandez or Santander. But who knows? If they can get Kyle Tucker without having to give up Luis Hill, I'm all for it. Maybe they have to throw in a Spencer Jones. But, I mean, he's a generational guy. I mean, so we identifying first base is a big thing. Obviously, you lose. Anthony Rizzo is getting older. Obviously, he had those bad, broken fingers during the World Series. His offense was starting to get down, kind of punch and Judy hitter, getting it done. Great, unbelievable hitter, but getting it done. But you could see him going. So, I mean, the internal options is Ben Rice, who had it, he had to jump a little bit, had a little jolt, and came back down to earth. And the other end is DJ LeMahieu, who, wasn't even on the postseason roster, who probably won't even be on the roster at the beginning of the year. He has just fell down and fell quick after his big, first year with the Yankees. So, I mean, there's one name, obviously, you got Bellinger who can play first base. It's Christian Walker, 33. He's about 251, 26 home runs, 372 on-base percentage. Guy they say is a great locker room guy. Yankees have been cooling on him. I think they said It was going to be a 3-year deal. A 3-year deal. I hope you're Dr. Phil. They said it was a 3-year deal, but the Yankees are. I'm sorry, I'm reading one of my comments, and it looks like. Yeah, I just saw that, and I kind of like glanced at it. I hope you're not a math teacher. No, I'm not a math teacher. Physical education. So I'm all about sports. I was not math aim is not my strong suit, but watch Pete Alonso lock in with 300 million. But I mean, Walker is. I mean, they were saying 3-year deal, but the Yankees are offering off that 3-year deal. So what are the other options? If you don't go Christian Walker, who's supposed to be a great locker room guy, you could go for future Hall of Famer Paul Goldschmidt, who's starting to come down, but he's still solid defensively. You could go left-handed bat, Carlos Santana. Pete Alonso's a name. I don't think the Yankees want Pete Alonso. Do you want another slower power right-handed hitter who's not strong defensively at first base? I don't think what it is. Another name to watch is Nolan Arenado, who does have a lot of money. I think it's 3 years remaining, $74 million with $50 million, after that. Getting a little money paid by the Rockies too. But he's Yankees have checked in on him. I think that's cool a little bit, but he's willing to play first. If he is, but this is a guy, a Gold Glove third baseman. Another name been floating around third baseman, Carlos Correa. Hold your horses. I know what everybody says about Carlos Correa. If the Yankees swing a trade for Carlos Correa, you move him to third. I take him in a heartbeat. I don't care what happened. It's over, and we move on. So this would be unbelievable. Carlos Correa, the Twins are trying to get out of that contract. The guy's a stud. Has had a lot of injury history. Large salary remaining, probably the reason the Twins are trying to get rid of him. But his name's been floated around, and that'd be a splash, and that'd be a solid thing. If you could get on the left side, you got Anthony Volpe and Carlos Correa on the left side. Where do you go at second base? Another name been floated out there, Alex Bregman, but Bregman's a Scott Boras client. I know we talk a lot about Scott Boras. He likes to get the most amount of money for his players. So he's supposedly turned down the offer the Astros gave him. He doesn't want it. He wants 200 plus. So I don't see that happening. But if you can, you keep Chisholm at third. If you get Correa, you put Correa at third. You put Chisholm in his natural position second. I think Chisholm did enough during the short time he did with the Yankees to stay and do a serviceable enough job to stay at third. But where do the Yankees go if they do not sign a guy? Obviously, if they've been out on Gleyber Torres, maybe they check back in on Gleyber Torres, who did have a nice little resurgence, did come down to earth during October, like a lot of the guys on the Yankees did. Like Juan Soto did too. After that, one of the great offensive performance. Defense now wasn't great, but did start coming down to earth a little bit. So where do they go there? I think they start with the platoon with Oswaldo Cabrera, who's been a guy who's that super utility guy, playing outfield, playing third, playing first. I think they start with him and Caleb Durbin. Durbin's a guy who was tearing up the Arizona Fall League. I would think after a while he takes over second base if they don't sign anybody. But we got all that. We got all that. What I'm identifying as a diehard Yankees fan is defense, and pitching. Go for it. Because your offense is you lose a generational guy like Juan Soto, your offense is gonna take a hit. So you got to identify that. And I had a lot of good stuff. We had Max Fried, who just signed, which I think this kind of takes out the Yankees off this. But Corbin Burns is another hot name who's had a lot of interest. I think he's probably gonna. Yankees, going to be a guy who are probably going to be on Burns, but maybe now it's a little too high for the Yankees. So I could not see them going. This guy could command command an 8-year contract at 30, 300 million plus. But does he want to return to the West Coast? Obviously, he's from Bakersfield, California, went to St. Mary's. I've heard a lot about the Giants. A lot about the Giants. I'm seeing all these Yankees rumors now. Kyle Tucker on 11 deal. WFAN said they'd rather have Kyle Tucker 11-12 than Juan Soto. I probably agree. So I mean, I think they're out on this. I think Burns probably ends up signing with the Giants. Who he's a Northern California guy. So I think he ends up signing back to the Giants. The Giants want to make splash with that new president of baseball operations, Buster Posey, and that would be big because the Giants have been trying and trying. They want to keep up with the Dodgers. If the Giants could sign Burns, that's a solid one too with Logan Webb, Corbin Burns, obviously Burns Webb, which I think Logan Webb would be an unbelievable starting solid 2-number pitcher. Another name to watch would be Buehler. It's a guy I really wanted, and really wanted. The Yankees said they were checking in on him, and there was some significant interest from Buehler. But now with the free deal, that's probably off. But Buehler would be a hell of a name. Maybe if they do trade Heel for Kyle Tucker, they go for Buehler. I mean, this guy had a nice bounce back here, coming back from 2 Tommy John surgeries, but he is playoff tested. And for me, this guy does his best work in the playoffs. He is clutch. That ball jumps. It jumps. And he's quick. I love him. I would love Buehler. I know I'm talking to Rob. He's like, yeah, you're greedy. I'm like, dude, if I could get Buehler and Cole freed Buehler, night. But, I mean, I don't see the Yankees get him. I see Burns to the Giants as they got the Dodgers in their own division. So, I mean, I see that. But as we wrap up here, guys, great talk. I'm not, for me, and I think for all Yankees fans, I know it's devastating. Juan Soto left, and we lost him to little brother Mets. Congratulations, Mets. I know it's tough. It's not the end of the world. He's not strong defensively, and the reason we lost that World Series was our defense. So, solid job identifying Fried. Let's shore up that pitching staff. We go with that bullpen. Maybe we added Tanner Scott, who was a guy who was loved, who the Yankees have loved. I'd love that signing. Maybe we do that because your offense is going to take a little hit. So, I mean, I think they're going to be on the outfield market with Tucker, with Santander, with Hernandez, and Bellinger is going to be a hot name. I see a lot of movement in the next couple days as the winter meetings is wrapping up. So I think there'll be a lot of good movement, a lot of good players. We'll see if Luis Castillo gets okay. This is said the Yankees will try hard to trade Kyle Tucker. I disagree with this guy. I don't know. Meredith Marakovich, who's a Yankees sideline report, said they're comfortable on the 1-year rental. This guy said he'd comfortable with Luis Heel. I don't want Luis Heel. I think that'd be great. But like I said, I could see them if they're not getting Tucker, going after Bellinger, solid flexibility, and having that solid outfielder. Maybe keep on identifying that bullpen. Second base might be a spot they look at. I think they maybe try to save a little money at second base, and if at all possible, if he doesn't have enough interest, trying to bring back Gleyber Torres. But I'm not upset Juan Soto left. So it's not the end of the world. The guy did what he was brought in for, and he got us the World Series, and we haven't been to the World Series, and I'm grateful for that. And congratulations to the Mets. Congratulations to Juan Soto and all his family for getting that money. But I'm grateful he helped us get to the World Series. But now we know what the Yankees need to do, to what we need to identify to win, and the difference between the Yankees and Dodgers. And that was our defense and our fundamentals. So, and I think Juan Soto is a DH. So I think it's a good thing. Spread that money around. I think we're ready. I think it's also good to see that Cashman's out there. Hal's willing to spend whatever it takes to win. So I want to thank everybody who tuned in tonight. Please remember, check down on Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Check it in. Bobby Finstock, Dave Stanger, myself, gonna check in, writing all that good, talking all that good stuff about Bill Belichick, going to UNC Touchdown in Paradise on Wednesdays. Always here, 4:30 Pacific, wherever you are. Usually 7:30 Eastern for me, but I'm on the West Coast for the month of December. 7:30 Eastern every Wednesday. Please remember, like, comment, and subscribe. This is On Deck here on FTSN. I'm Russ Morgan. You guys have a great night.